For the time being, let's just have this as a thought and what the mouth of this cave has to offer.
All right. The
We're
cave
here
mouth. The cave
study
mouth is
things.
enormous, and you could probably fit a small starship. The water booms in and out, but there's just enough of a ledge to be able to traverse your way into the cave with an athletics check, if you so choose. Otherwise, you can just see that it heads deeper and deeper into the side of the mountain and is lost into the darkness. And you can hear the echoing boom of what has to be a large chamber filling and emptying with seawater. While the guttural barks and roars of the juvenile ravnak out here on the side of the inlet, are a cacophony. From in this great cave, you hear a far deeper, more guttural, drawn-out roar that silences all of the pups out here on the beach for a moment. Conterra comes up next to you and makes herself very close to you and says,
That sounds like a very large walrus.
Well, I guess we'll have to do some sort of perception check to see. Well, I have vigilance. Is there a way to do a vigilance check to see
if you can make your... So you can...
I can make out how far down the cave is, or how
you
big
have far enough that you're going to have to make a couple of athletics checks before you get down to where you're going to have an encounter with this thing. It's not you go in
also,
there and then you have to fight it immediately. Yeah.
If it's also an echo, it could be a little thing that sounds like a big thing.
Totally.
Oh yeah, so go ahead and give me perception or vigilance. Absolutely. The difficulty is going to be hard with one. The setback is canceled because of one setback from the darkness and one from
Does his boost apply here?
You can apply that boost instead because you didn't make another check. Yes. Everything
Vigilance
canceled
has
out.
taken.
So you did not succeed, is what it means. There was no net success or failure.
Captain.
Which means you did
Can't
not
make heads or
succeed.
tails of it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's elusive.
You did see the reaction of all of the, adolescents out here, though.
All the other walruses?
Yes. So, and to make your way in here, you're going to have to make some athletics or coordination checks or some force leaps, sort of situation. If you're going to bring Conterra along, she might need an assist on the way as well, You're traveling through a frozen cave with an icy, seawater rushing in and out below you. She's like,
This looks pretty treacherous. I have some climbing gear and stuff back in the walker, but it still looks like a lot. Unless you're planning on carrying me the whole way.
Leave her behind.
Or chuck her ahead.
Absolutely not.
She'll try to follow on her own. And then her fate will
Suffer
be
the
on...
consequences.
Oh, that's not a very
I was going to
Jedi,
say, we just have to tie each other together. Tie each other together with a rope.
Could you, dislodge a big piece of ice onto the water and, surf your way down there?
Sounds like something that's
They were
within the
climbing.
realms of the Force. I mean, you could traverse
we were
this way a
climbing.
different way.
Well,
if you
you're
want to.
entering a cave.
Right, you have to either climb along the walls because the water is rushing in and out, or find some other way to get back into this cave.
I guess you'd be going against the current if you tried to surf, but you could, force surf up the current.
Yeah, the tide's coming in, in and out, basically, so...
Or you could just Princess Bride it, where Conterra holds onto your back and you just cliffs of insanity along the walls with just straight athletics checks.
Boss.
Yeah, to show that Narset's physically hella strong as well as just strong in the Force.
I was gonna say, I wish Alter had a way of putting it on an object, not an area.
Yeah, could she force Moses the water with Alter terrain? Force freeze it so it's no longer rushing, and then you could walk across or something.
So you can turn impassable terrain.
What I was thinking is that I can make with concealment. I can make Conterra and I invisible, but with the gravity effects of Alter, I was hoping to put her into a gravity bubble as the athletics check, and she just Baby Yoda follows me.
I mean, you could grab her with force move and pull her along that way instead. You know what I mean?
Or if you roll really good on making the terrain passable, you could just straight walk down the center of the water like Moses. You know?
Yeah, turn it into ice or something as you walk along.
Yeah, part it and then freeze it. That'd be dope.
Oh, because I don't want our presence. I don't want our presence to be super known. I want to do anything that makes a shitload of noise, whatever it was that called out in the cave. Because then that way, when we get up to whatever creature made the sound in the cave, then it would be easier or more strategic for us to become invisible at that time, and just stealth check the fuck out of it. Yeah, let's tether each other together, athletics checks, and do an altar thing against the wall to try to make it easy to...
Okay, so do the altar first. This is a force die roll, but, you know, you might take strain because of dark side stuff. No! Hella light side.
Nice.
So you are able to make a lengthy walkway, basically. You can make a lengthy walkway, just like a ledge, earthbender style, a ledge, come out, you know, like 2 feet wide along the side of this,
the fucking
you know,
canyon episode,
stretching back into the darkness if you want. It's how you want to flavor it. You know what I mean? Like, it's altar. So, the Witches of Dathomir taught you many magics, Narset Jin. They taught you to intimately connect yourself to the natural world around you so that you can alter it to your whim. The fact that you limit yourself to this concept of moving the air is a purely mental construct of your own and a limitation that they would scoff at.
It's how I would use it for my own like offensive or defensive needs, but because of the fact that I'm having to second-handedly deal with another person, I'm having to make, like, if I make air steps, if I just make air bubble steps,
then you're not changing the world around you.
That Conterra's not going to be able to step on an air bubble.
No, she's not, but she can do this instead, exactly.
You should have Conterra do an athletics check and just piggyback on, like, hold on to you and let you do your thing.
And then she would have to do athletics checks through it, but she got a massive altar roll. So instead you guys are able to, like, work your way along the wall back into this cave. And the athletics check you are going to have to make is not going to be nearly as difficult. It is going to be an athletics check, and it is going to be average difficulty with a setback because of how damn dark it is. And another setback because you've got Conterra lashed to you. But she's not going to have to make any check. This is the check to get both of you through it. Right? No success or failure and an advantage, but you can use one of those 2 light side points to turn it into a success. So you succeed at Narset and Conterra, work their way carefully back along the wall of this cavern into the side of the volcano. The water rushing in and out just meters below their boots as they head back into the darkness. Eventually, you feel the wall begin to recede behind you, and the cavern, or the inlet, the cave, opens up into a cavern. It's very dark in here, but there is some dim lighting from shafts heading down from the surface above into this cavern, filtering down beneath the massive stalactites hanging from the ceiling in here. There's a huge bowl of this cavern filling with water coming in from the tide outside and the inlet, and down below you can hear a massive creature moving around. You're gonna have to make a perception check in this dark, cavern to see things more clearly, or alter things to remove the darkness. Create some light or whatever if you want to, or something like that. Yeah. Conterra rummages. She goes,
I have a torch, but maybe not. I think there's something in here with us.
If you're trying to stealth.
She's whispering. Yeah, she's not being loud. She hasn't, destroyed your chance of stealth checking into here yet.
I have a torch, but probably not the best idea.
There's something alive in here.
Sounds huge.
I will use a destiny point to pull out a golf ball-sized crystal out of one of my pockets.
Okay. And it works like a flashlight, I imagine? You can create an area of light around you, one flashlight.
So it's more like, so think of it like a quartz crystal ball, right? And then
sure.
so I take out this tiny crystal ball, and then I use some Dathomiri magic, and like throw it up in the air, and now it sort of gives a kind of like a tiny spotlight. It's like a floating.
Like somebody's up above you holding a flashlight, illuminating things for you.
Literally just like a flashlight amount.
You cast green lumos.
Use a destiny point to create something that has one flashlight's worth of utility. That is exactly what a destiny point is for.
But specifically,
it's a floating green crystal that's above you, pointing down. Sure.
That doesn't give away our position. So
I love it. Instead, you've got Navi up above you, looking.
It's
over
coming down from a
light.
neutral location. Yeah.
Navi lights. Yeah.
Hey, listen.
Flip. So I use that destiny point, take out the crystal.
Absolutely.
The Miri magic and throw out this fairy fireball. Help us sort of navigate the darkness a little bit more, and then I'll do that perception check.
Absolutely, it's going to be hard, and you don't have to worry about the setback from the dark or the one from the cold right now. But it is going to be a hard check because you're in a very large.
Is that a failure? Fuck.
Even with the assistance of your green fairy fire, you still cannot perceive even
the creature is. So is it
nearest extremity?
That must mean it's a demon.
Yes, you are up on the wall of a big bowl, and you're up high. Down below, it is filling with water, and the creature is down in the center in an area that is filling with water as the tide comes in. Eventually, that water will reach the level that you're at, and then the creature would be able to deal with you directly, but for the moment, it would be down below you, far enough that, you're out of its reach anyway, as this water comes in. But you can't see the creature, you can't even see the far wall of the place.
I was gonna say, is it like this where we're climbing the side of the wall, but there's just this,
and that water's rising and it's slowly filling the room.
If you look at slide 44, you've seen that I've tried to mock this up.
So that's probably over the course of hours.
Yeah. It's not going to happen.
The tide comes in.
Like an instant.
The tide comes in, and then the bigger creature is able to come up. Yeah. So so the tide is essentially our timer.
Yes, exactly. But it's it's on a cycle of the hours, day.
Yeah, the day. Yeah, tide comes in twice a day, kind of thing.
Exactly. So you don't have to worry about it happening now, but it is on its way in now. Yeah. So that it's not like, you don't have to worry about it until tomorrow. You know what I mean? But yeah, okay. You've made your way into the great cave of Iceball. Boom. With an
Narset looks over to Conterra and more library voice says we don't have to quite worry about this creature yet. You're right that there is something down there. Let's just quickly make it across for now. And just keep in hindsight, we have to pay attention to the water level.
She says,
"Where are we going, though? I can't see a way out from here. I mean, I know it has to go further, but..."
Worst case scenario, we'll make a way out.
She says,
"I hope you know what you're doing."
All right. So you're going to athletics check your way, or stealth. I'm sorry, right? You're stealthing your way through here because you don't want to alert the thing, obviously.
The green light's not going to alert it. It's not going to see that through the water.
Oh, it's going to cause a setback towards it, but she wants it because she doesn't want to deal with the setback of doing it in complete darkness.
No worries.
There's going to be a setback either way, kind of thing.
Plus, I don't want the light to be at the level that Conterra and I are on, because
because that way it gives away your position.
Immediately makes us look small. Versus if it's floating
above
us. Anglerfish.
Slide 44 is my extremely janky mock-up of the situation that you're currently dealing with.
That looks like an alien cloud is either fucking completely Independence Day laser beaming us or beaming us up.
Can you see what's happening, though, at all?
Yeah, rushing river, the filling up bowl, and it's top down, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you came in through the cave along the wall here, and now you're trying to stealth your way around. Okay, so the perception. So we're talking about it's going to be against 3 reds and a purple Narset, and with a setback because your way is being, it's still something that might attract his attention in your general vicinity, but otherwise there would be setbacks from the extreme darkness. You know what I mean? Obviously, you don't want to make another force power check to alter the terrain in here.
Purple. No, if I do alter again, you'll see what I'll do.
Do you want? Oh, I mean, you're gonna drop some fucking stalactites on this motherfucker. I hope. Do you want to use destiny points, or did you already roll?
Why am I
you already
failing?
rolled it.
I already rolled it.
So you and Conterra set out along the wall of the cavern. So as Conterra and Narset, either establish themselves in this position or make their way deeper, into this great cavern to find further tunnels into the volcano, there is a clatter and fall of rocks as Narset steadies herself against a stone pillar. The top of this stalagmite, top third of it, snaps off and clatters down the bowl-shaped side of the cavern, tumbling and bouncing before splashing loudly into the pool in the basin. There is a
totally
sloshing sound as a great mass moves within the water, and then you hear the sucking sound of massive nostrils.
Nice.
Taking in the air of this place. Conterra crouches down beside you and presses against your legs and says,
"There's definitely something else in here, and it is huge."
Made alert to you.
Alerted to your presence.
Yeah. So
still can't
but
reach you.
It hasn't spotted you directly, and it hasn't. Yeah,
Well,
it can't reach you from here. You can try to retreat or deal with it now, but if you come back later, things are going to be worse, not better, because the tide is coming in now.
Let's book it. Let's book it past, and we'll.
You're going to try to go past and go deeper.
We'll deal with this bitch later.
All right.
One thing I learned from
check
Atlantis.
To try to. Are you going to extinguish your light? I hope.
Yes.
All right, well, you've still got a setback because it was alerted to you. So you're making the same check again against the same difficulty.
I still got dark vision.
Well, there you go. So you don't have to worry about the setback from the dark or the setback.
Well, that's okay. The light was for Conterra's benefit.
You're helping Conterra, yeah. So you reach out and grab her hand intimately in the dark.
Forgot I have
and lead her, with your Arcanian genetically engineered eyes. Do you want to spend a destiny point to upgrade your die pool this time, Narset Jin?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yes. So you turn one of your greens into a yellow. The difficulty are 2 reds, purple, and you're getting a boost from the darkness and a setback from the fact that it is aware that you're there and actively trying to find you. Oh, nice. Well, you take...
Oh, God.
There it is.
Okay, cool.
You take 3 strength from having to carefully pick your way as quietly and stealthily as you ever had. Even though the terrain is completely different, what it brings you back are like those first lonely nights on Dathomir, where you were completely at the mercy of this alien, terrifying, and extremely dangerous world.
Everything wanted to eat you.
Everything else is completely different in every way imaginable in this dark, cold, wet cave where you're not alone and you've got someone else depending on you. But in the same way, it's the exact same.
Having another person depending on you is a lot.
You, with complete deafness, are able to maneuver your way around and triumphantly find a narrow tunnel high above even the furthest high water mark of high tide that leads deeper in and up into the body of this volcano. Behind you, you hear the Ravnak shuffling around in its bowl, trying to ascertain your presence, but completely in vain.
It's the fucking score of a shortcut right there.
Well, and if the crab dudes are looking for a way to get into the volcano, you may have just found a way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm doing
That's
that
what
right now.
happens when you roll triumph, and the GM tells you what they do. If you spend your triumphs, they're on what you want. If I spend your triumphs, they're on what you need. A climb past a killer sea monster.
Yeah,
that's a tough move.
You have to fight it. Yeah, you have to fight it or get past.
Sneak past. Yeah, that's like that takes balls.
If you fight it, you only get to fight it.
Whatever
once.
the crab equivalent of that is, you know.
Yeah, they've got this weird macho crustacean thing that totally go for like you've got to face a beast, you know.
You gotta sneak past the giant monster and climb up the wall and then head into the cave. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about fight it? Fight it. If you fight it, you only fight it once. You got to sneak past it.
We fight it once.
Back past it against carrying all this shit. That's the tough part, is sneaking out past it the second time, carrying all that shit on your back.
Mm-hmm.
If you fight it on the way in, you can't do that on the way out.
And you're on a time clock the entire time. You
know? Yeah, because you got tide coming in.
You got the tides, yeah.
They can breathe in water. I can't breathe in water.
No, but the Ravnak can swim in water.
It's about safety more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to be in that water.
Mobility. Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Zeef, you can swim in water. You want to go for a swim in the cistern that Narset found?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Excuse me. No, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither do these crabs. But yeah, that's pretty good stuff. You didn't have to fight it. You could have. I put a bunch of stalactites in the ceiling that you could have dropped on it, or you could have frozen all of the water in the bowl around it and immobilized it. Like,
again, this is a time scale of hours, so
dynamic. Right. Well, they're going to be exploring in a volcano for hours, and by the time they come back out, it's going to be a different situation. You know, they might have different moons, and the tides come in and out 4 times a day here, Daniel. You don't know.
I'm just saying,
don't make assumptions about the tides.
I'm just saying, it's a process. It's not like
no, exactly. Yeah. No, it's not fast at all. So they're gonna have time to go in and do stuff, and when they come back, it's gonna be either more full or less full by an amount, a lot, because they'll have been gone for hours. You know what I mean?
On Tatooine, it's not 300 years have passed.
Right. It's not the kind of thing that happens during the course of a combat encounter, unless you make it happen with the Force, because you're a fucking wizard who can control the environment. You can make the tides happen or not happen now. I Red Sea all the water,
or just be like
Katara.
Just be like Katara, just freeze that shit.
I feel like the less you influence the surroundings with the Force, the more on your side about this plan the Sauvax are going to be, because they're not really about Jedi. They don't want to be handheld by a Jedi to their climb. They want to be able to say that this was naturally here for us.
Completely valid point. Yeah, and so far she made the walkway in that otherwise Conterra wouldn't have gone in, but she can also unmake that on her way out.
And Sauvax could climb along that wall, right?
Right, they don't need a walkway.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But you're using your abilities to make the climb. You know what I mean? Right now, you're making your climb. So, all right, we've got time to progress up and into this volcano. I'm going to need a survival check from you to navigate your way through these caverns using familiarity with the natural world. I don't know if there are force powers that allow you to boost survival, or if you have them.
What's Conterra's skill?
Conterra could help. Yes, you're right.
I feel like her survival is way higher than mine. Mine's only 2.
Having spent years on Dathomir, you should have a higher one than that, I would think.
Yeah, what is your skill?
My vigilance high.
What would your survival? Oh, just 2 greens. Really wow. All right, she will give you skilled assistance then in the force of 2 skill upgrades. So it'll be 2 yellows for you to roll as she goes.
Well, these are volcanic tubes, so they kind of split this way and that's the most probable path.
But the difficulty is still going to be hard. And there are two... well, you're dealing with the cold and the darkness already, actually. So it's just going to be 3 purples against your 2 yellows.
Nice.
So you guys do not successfully find your way to anywhere that is, a location worth describing as you ponderously travel through these lava tubes for what feels like hours. You don't have a chrono on you to actually verify. You take 2 more strain, and those strain might actually be, the timer that determines, when you need to head back, because you're now at 11 of 14.
Hey, how am I at 11?
Or no, you're not. That was somebody else.
I was gonna say, I was at
4 before.
Warham took strain?
You're at 3.
You're at 11.
Yeah, you were at 9. Because you used the dark side earlier, and then you took strain from the threat on the successful stealth check as you nimbly picked your way through the cavern. You've been accruing strain with everything you've done. You took 4 strain for the dark side points you used when you jumped the river. You took
I thought
3 strain.
We took some of those away because of
did, but not as many as you accrued by a long shot, Miss Jim.
I didn't know.
You need to be mindful of these things. You were at 11.
Can she take a moment to just roll to recover strain?
Yes, because she made her way through an encounter dealing with the Ravnak.
It's true, you just did a bunch of stuff, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that was an encounter, and she can make a cool or resilience check, having gone through the first part of this dungeon and dealt with the encounter of, the entry cavern. She can roll her cool or resilience against nothing.
They're both just 2 greens.
Cool, okay, so roll 2 green against nothing. You recover 1 strain.
There you go.
If you have any points in rapid recovery talent, you will recover additional strain.
All right, well, now you got 10. That gives you leeway a little bit.
Well, 10 of 14. She's got 4 strain that she can take before she's too tapped out. Conterra looks at you. She's maybe a hand's breadth away in this lava tunnel so that she can make out the outline of your face in the darkness, but with your finely engineered eyes. In addition to force sensitivity, your parents also gave you the finest faculties that a modern Arcanian could hope to possess. And she, looks fully illuminated to you through your silver eyes here in the darkness. She says,
I don't know about you, but this is exhausting.
All right, do you want to sneak back past the Ravnak now, or do you want to try to find a different way out?
I don't know, because I didn't realize that I accrued fucking 10 strain, so I'm not sure if it would be worth trying to make another vigilance check for another tunnel, or just trying to just go back the way we came.
You could maybe flip a destiny and say that she's got one of those juice bars or whatever it was on her. The ones that...
The Gatorade thing, yeah.
Gatorade, yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
You've got destiny points to spare, so...
Yeah.
Then, I don't know how many that recovered you last time, but,
It was 5.
It was 5, so yeah, that
I thought it was 3, then yeah. So let's flip a destiny and do that.
Alright, yeah. And Conterra pulls out 2 of those electrolyte packs and says...
I don't know about you, but I need this. These tunnels might run through the whole volcano. I'm not lost. I can find our way back to where we came in, but I don't know if we're getting anywhere now.
Narset looks over to Conterra, saying how you bring up a good point about not knowing how in depth these tunnels go, but because of the depth of these tunnels, it gives me a good idea on how we can give this crab tribe a new challenge. Or a new potential climbing challenge with that Ravnak. Still trying to figure out if it would be worth sneaking back or trying to find another way around.
It's the difference between more stealth checks or more survival checks.
Both accrue strain, right?
It depends on whether you roll threat or not,
Tunnel to the surface, maybe?
You could just make a tunnel straight up to the surface, you know what I mean?
And have the Sauvax climb the exterior to that point and then enter there to the tunnel or something.
Well, honestly, I think they'd rather, You know, they go through the cave with the crazy monster.
These caves go a lot further too. You know what I mean? Like what she has now isn't like, really all of it.
Trial, you know, if that's what they're looking for.
So,
you know. But
there's more to find in here.
Narset doesn't have to take the trial herself. Essentially, she can, you know.
Yeah, you could just lightsaber your way through to the outside now and be like, "Hey, here's the door. Climb up to here. Go through the caves." You know, that could be the climb. Because the Sauvax are perfectly capable of scaling the side of the volcano themselves. There's just a factory way up there in the way. But if they go up like halfway and then enter in this opening you just made, they can use a network of caves to get to the rim, like, say, on the other side of the volcano. You know?
I agree. So, yeah, so what we'll do then is just do an force alter check of...
To try to make, like...
a small enough tunnel for us to kind of...
Yeah, or open some tunnels into other tunnels that lead you up, you know what I mean? Because you can... Alter is also sort of sensing the environment around you. So go ahead and make that force power check.
Reach out with the force.
Alright, it's a mixed bag. To get the range you're going to need, you're going to have to take some strain, though, to flip those dark sides. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to flip that last destiny point.
Do it. Go all in on this cave exit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So Narset centers herself and says her Dathomiri incantation, the one that allows her to connect to the world around her and manipulate it to her will. She senses the lava tubes radiating out from the core of this island. She senses another one, parallel, and off, separated through meters and meters of dense, thick stone from this tube, but that one, unlike this, leads straight out to the side of the mountain, instead of down to a cistern with a mighty creature. Narset brings her hands together in front of herself and puts them against the smooth, volcanic side of the tube. A green ring of Dathomiri fire spreads out from her hand, forming a round portal on the wall. It begins to spin, and eventually the swirl of fire resolves itself into twisting lines and runic characters, similar to the tattoos and language that adorned the bodies of Narset's sisters back on Dathomiri.
Awesome.
They eventually freeze into place, spelling out in a language that Narset only has a dim recollection of, words that will grant the traveler access from here to there. In between this circle of green runes is still a flat, solid volcanic wall. But when Narset puts her hand against it, it passes directly through. And she feels the air in the volcanic tunnel meters and meters and meters away. Fresher air on her fingertips, cold air, because this tunnel has direct access to the outside. You're able to step directly through the center of this portal, as it has altered the terrain between here and there, just with like some spice on it, and you can travel through from here to there as though there's no interpeding difficult terrain along the way. And you can bring Conterra with you as well. But once you leave, the spell's going to fade because you're not using, committing a force die to make it permanent, kind of blah, blah, blah sort of thing. She looks absolutely mystified and says,
I'm going to go through there.
Yep, just hold my hands. It'll be fine. Or you can close
clinging
your
to your arm with both both of her, and like is pressed completely against your side as you literally just step through to the other side. Also, there is no sort of mystic tunnel or whatever, because you were just making a path from here to right over there. You know what I mean? Not like
secret
anywhere else.
Secret tunnel.
Exactly. So once you step through the other side, you see, the exact same ring on this side, and you can dissipate the spell, like with just a thought. Now that it's, complete, or it'll stay there until you leave. You know what I mean?
So yeah, I guess we'll.
Conterra is absolutely.
No, I was gonna say if there's one.
Like, it was one
listen,
step.
Kids, never
goes,
leave
that was
a portal open. Like this, yeah, no. Like the voice in my head is like, never leave a portal open. Yeah, no.
You
as soon
can't
as
leave it
soon
open
as
once
Narset,
you go anyway. At this
it's
point.
a temporary.
You don't have that
right
ability.
Now,
yeah. You can unlock that though. You have the ability to commit one of your force die, and it takes it out of your available pool. But as long as that force die is committed and you're within your like range of your alterations, they're permanent. So you can like go to a place, change like a subcontinent to your liking, and then be like, as long as I live here, it's going to stay like this. Okay, here's where I'm retiring. You know what I mean? Like that's what somebody who worked for the Jedi Council Agra Corps, instead of being a knight, does when they want to retire. They go and literally make their Shangri-La and just stay there.
Interesting.
Sounds like a pretty good retirement plan.
Mm-hmm. So Conterra is stunned. She goes,
I thought, but it was... That was just...
We're outside. We're outside now, right?
You're like at the mouth of a tunnel that leads directly out to the outer slope of the volcano here. Yeah, it could not... There's no arguing that you were not somewhere else completely different. You know, one step through this wall, which is also impossible, you know, ago. So,
yeah.
Like, you're doing all kinds of impossible shit, you know, today with her. You know what I mean? So.
It's blowing her mind.
She's all about the data pad right now. She takes a picture of the rooms.
Say, so after they exit the tunnel mouth, Narset looks over to Wait, what did I say?
Narset looks over to Conterra.
And says, before we check back in with the shaman or some of the other Sherpas, we should check in with your walker, because I need to take a quick nap, if that's all right with you.
She looks up at the sky, which is darkening because you've traveled for most of the day already, and she says,
yeah. I'll go check in with the Sherpas, and I'll meet you there.
You guys are like close enough that you can travel overland down to the, like, you made a magic portal to right where you needed it to be, basically, you know, and you're able to just boop, boop, boop. Some of the Sauvax are gathered along the banks, looking into the great cave along the path that you took in. When you appear coming from another direction entirely, after, a few hours, but like not like day, they are completely mystified by this. And they give you a wide berth as you head back over to the walker. Conterra meets with the Sherpas really quick, and they come back over to the walker as well and set up camp underneath its legs. They deploy tarps and make their own like Sauvax hut using the legs of the walker as the support pillars, and its undercarriage as the roof, with tarp walls, and set up shop underneath the walker as you and Conterra are able to have a meal and finish your day inside. She'll talk about literally anything that happened today that you want to, and will bombard you with all kinds of semi-redundant at this point questions about your time on Dathomir and those kind of, things. If she gets her leave, obviously, like, she's just going to keep grilling you about that stuff if she gets her chance. But once you're back and she is back, she prepares a meal for both of you, using like the best of what she can scrape together with like the ration type ingredients she has. You notice that she exuberantly flavors both serving this time before giving you yours, and quite deliberately make sure to touch your hand when she passes you the food. But she takes a seat over on the other side of the walker, away from you, and eats and starts going through. She filled 3 data slates over the course of the day, even though she was driving for most of the first half of it. And she is composing that into something a little more coherent as she begins to eat. Over the course of the meal and sleeping, you'll recover all of your strength naturally, so you don't have to worry about Well, that's fine. You can have like a silent meal after a very long day where you did you Jedi'd in front of someone who's not part of the Jedi Order for the first time that I've seen your character do it ever. You know what I mean? When Zavix forced your hand, and you kind of lost your cool, and you did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, ripped down the ceiling in the one.
Yeah. Right, that's what I mean. But Zavix sort of forced that situation by popping his lightsaber, and then it kind of spiraled out of control. But Narset chose to do all kinds of things today that, since we haven't seen your character before now, I'm going to assume that this is your first solo mission, out on your own, unless you tell us about your backstory doing other stuff, you know what I mean? So it's perfectly fine for you to be quiet, while you eat. Conterra's absorbed enough in her own work that she doesn't even remark on it. Although she probably would if she wasn't.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say, before Narset starts to go into a food coma and falls asleep for the moment, she looks over to Conterra and says, I'm saying this out loud so I don't forget, and for you to think about also, that tomorrow we should go over to the Longhouse and immediately tell the other, I almost called them Selcaths, Sauvax, that we found a new challenge for them. We found a new cave challenge of the hidden temple. We gotta tell the others about it. This could be good.
She looks up and she looks at you very seriously, and she says,
"You might want to consult with their shaman first. What you're proposing would be a huge shift to both their culture and religion. And while I'm sure you're well-intentioned,
you don't know what the effects might be.
We don't know their view.
We don't know the purpose of their climb and what qualifies a task as worthy of it. It's not simply about being the strongest. They always talk about the first crab who does the task brings some sort of betterment to their people and then comes back and leads them along that way. He brought them from the bottom of the ocean up here to the land and then was heading up the volcano. And we don't know where the story is supposed to go from there. Crab Drogo has one idea, and it ends at the stars. And we don't know where the story that was being told here is supposed to go, because, well, the end of that book has been torn out now. But if we can find out what the goal of the next step of the climb is, then maybe we can understand what they need from this.
Mm-hmm.
They're only going to be satisfied if you give them what they need, Narset.
I know, but they're using the word want a lot. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is there differentiation between what their wants and needs are?
She looks at you and she says,
the differentiation between wants and need. Well, maybe we can discuss that tonight.
We're going to end the scene there and let Narset and Conterra work on the differences between wants and needs in social situations off camera. And Bendu can tell us what that entailed, with as little detail as possible when we get back in the morning. You can just let us know if they wake up in the same bunk or not, and that's literally as much as we need to address it. But that's the line we're going to end the episode on. Is Conterra saying that she is more than willing to work with you on learning the difference between wants and needs.
And that's a real good sax play.
Swept her up in your arms and jumped around like a fucking Jedi and snuck her past a fucking walrus that can eat a goddamn TIE fighter.
There's a lot of walrus.
In many, many walrus,
Or is it still walrus? Many walrus, still walrus?
All walrus.
All walrus.
Walrus?
Wall-eyed walrus. Wall-eyed walrus. you would be the only one who gets experience for this, which means that we could give everybody experience because you guys have experience for like a big fight at your house.
Cha-ching.
And then would we have time to go over that before you have to go? I mean, even if you have to go, these guys might be able to anyway. But let's say that you guys all get 20 experience points. How about that?
Sounds
That's an
good.
amount that isn't... That's a good amount, but not too much to make you guys have too much experience points.
Right.
That by the end of this, you're literal gods. And that's what I'm concerned with as a GM these days. So 20 experience points, because you guys fought off some home invaders semi-successfully, and then went shopping, and Narset went on an expedition over the mountain, and then encountered some very crabby, traditionalist crab men. You know, don't let them know that you're a space lesbian. That's probably against their religion too. You know,
he's bi.
Everything about you is wrong to them. You're from the. You're not from here. You're different.
Never specified.
You're one of the new
kids.
deal with
a different.
Assholes.
It's a different. Well, I mean, they agree with that, so you guys agree on that. She doesn't like imperialistic, you know, off-world assholes either.